Hi book friends, it's Krista, and I wanted to take you guys on a little book journey with me. I just read 2 books recently and I absolutely adored them. And I wanted to share them with you and some of the other books that it reminded me of a little bit, just to give you guys some more book recommendations. What all these books have in common, even though they're all completely different from each other. There's a couple sci-fis, and then there's a couple fantasies. But they're all kind of relatively the same in the sense that they are magical realism. If you're looking for a fast-paced book, these might not be for you. These are definitely more thought-provoking, a lot more. You have to pay attention to names and dates and people. If you need to know what's going on from like the first chapter, these are also not going to be for you. You are going to learn little bits throughout each of these throughout each of these stories, and you're not going to understand what's happening until the end, until the reveal. And I will have to say that most of these books, if things are going over your head or feeling like they're going over your head, they're all going to make sense at the end. So without further ado, the first one I'm going to talk to you guys about is a book that just was released this last year, and that is The Unmaking of June Farrow. We follow June Farrow. Her family, the Farrow women, and they all went crazy. They're all mad. So they call it the Farrow curse. I'm going to do this better. This is Adrienne Young. I was so bad at it the last video, saying the authors' names, and I'm going to do better. Anyways, these women, they all go crazy, and they all know that they're going to go crazy. It's just what has happened to every single woman of their family. We follow her as things start to unravel for her. And she's knowing that this crazy is coming for her. It starts out small, it starts out in dreams, and then it builds up slowly to her just walking around and seeing things that aren't there, that no one else can see. She knows they don't exist. And then to one day a door appears, and she has to make that decision on if she's going to walk through that door or if she's going to stay and just accept her fate as crazy. It's a great book. It is beautiful. There's a romance in it that is very good. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. All right, so the book The Other Side of Night by Adam Hamdy was beautiful. I'm going to say this about every single book that I pull out. It was a beautiful book. The writing is gorgeous. This starts out with a letter from David. He is pretty much just telling us that it's a very unbelievable story that I'm about to tell you, but it's very much true. It's not obviously true, but it's just a cool setup to the book. And he wants to let us know about 3 different people that are within the pages. The first one is Elliot. He's a young boy who just lost his mom and dad. They are missing. And then there is a man named Ben who is a close family friend of Elliot's parents. He is trying to adopt Elliot. And then we have Harriet. I think that's her name. Yes, Harriet. She is a retired detective who is seeing Ben. She is dating him, and suddenly starts to investigate because now Ben is a suspect of murdering Elliot's parents. That is all I can tell you. So there is like little bits throughout the whole story. You're picking up, you're trying to figure out how this is all going to come together, how this is all going to make sense. You just have to go on for the ride and know by the end of the story, everything comes together. If you're okay with that, you will love this book. The next one would be The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. She's written a couple books. She's written, what is the other book? Station 11. That was on HBO. They made that into, I don't know if it was a series or if it was a movie. I didn't watch it. I want to watch it. I want to read the book actually first, and I have not read it. But this one is very interesting. This one, you have to pay attention. If you don't, you will be lost even at the end, I think. It starts out in 1912, and it's set in 3 or 4 time parts of this book. So 1912, there's like 5 chapters, and then it switches to the year 2020. A whole new cast comes up, and then it switches to 2203, and another whole cast comes up. Their stories they have nothing to do with each other until there's a thread that all of a sudden starts tying all of it together in an end that is just so creative and kind of mind-blowing, but beautiful. All these are very literary. So and then we have 10,000 Doors of January. Now this came out in 2019, so this might not be a book that is new to you guys at all. A lot of you might have already heard of this book, but it does feel like it fits within these books so well. This is the story of January. Her father is trying to raise her, and they don't have a lot of money. Something happened to her mom. I believe she does not know what happened to her mom. She doesn't remember her. I think she was just all of a sudden gone when she was a very young girl. And so her dad strikes up a deal with this white, really rich man, that if he takes care of his daughter and him, in his big mansion, he will go exploring and looking for all these magical relic type of items for him. So January does not see her dad much at all. What she does do, though, she discovers within all these magical elements a book that teaches her that there's doors in the world that go to other worlds. And she finds out that it is connected to her somehow. These doors are connected to her. So she goes on a little adventure. That's all I can tell you. But I can say that her story and these doors is just a small part of this story. There's a lot more going on, especially with the rich man that's taking care of her. There's these side things that are going on within the plot. So you don't really get to explore the doors as much. It has more to do with why this man wants all these relics. What is he doing? And then it's also her exploration of why these doors have anything to do with her. That's what this is about. It's beautiful prose. Again, gorgeous writing. I loved it. And then we have Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This is kind of the pioneer of genre bending type of books. This is sci-fi, it's fantasy, it's magical realism. That's what all of these books are. Genre defying type of stories, but she was a pioneer. This book was released in 1979. So it's a huge feat, and plus she's a Black author. So doing that in that time and also breaking the rules within the genres is just kind of a huge deal. But this book is about, her name's Dana, and she is married to a white man. This Black woman is married to a white man. So you can see, if you hear my children running around, I'm sorry for the noise. But so it's set in modern times. It's her birthday. She's at home with him, and all of a sudden she just disappears right in front of him. And she time travels to Antebellum South. She finds that she's linked to a plantation owner's son. This little redheaded boy starts off when he's really young. And they're a slave-owning family, a big, huge slave-owning family. She goes there, and she sees this boy is drowning in this pond. So she goes and rescues him. And then her life is threatened, and she disappears and goes back. And she just comes back into her regular life. And her husband's just like, where have you been? But so this just keeps on happening. And every time she goes back she always has to rescue the same boy. And her life is in further and further dangerous situations, especially a modern woman going into that Antebellum South era where with the slave plantation. It's so fascinating, so interesting. Yeah, it's emotional. All of these books are emotional, but this is very emotional read. So I definitely encourage people to read, to pick that one up. But the last book that I wanted to talk about, I thought would be a good one to like bring it all together. This book is not difficult. It is a very easy read. This is one that for those lovers that just want to read a book and not put any thought into it. However, it's a portal fantasy without actually going into any portals. This is with the thought of Wendy from Peter Pan, the Neverland, or Alice in Wonderland from Wonderland, coming back. What happens to all these kids that go through these portals, come back into the real world, and try talking about these things that they saw? People are going to think they're crazy. So it's them, people thinking they're crazy, and sending them to an institution for kids that claim they've seen portals or went through portals for years and years and years, because they're supposedly coming back right from the time that they left. They didn't lose any time, right? And now they're all put together and you hear about all of their experiences. But there's a little bit of a murder mystery going on in the background of this story. So it's just a fun book. And this is, even though this is a standalone book, it's still part of a series. There's a bunch of books within the series. They're all novellas, and each one of them is a standalone, but they all have to do with all the children that you read about in this book. You get to actually go into their portals and what they experienced, each individually. So each book is dedicated to a different person within that first original story, and talking about, and you get to see their portal. So if this upsets you that you don't get to see their portal, because it kind of left me like a little sad that I didn't get to see some of these cool worlds that they're explaining, this was exciting that you get to actually go into their portals with them and read about it. So, and they're still making new books now. There's a new one coming out, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's coming out pretty soon. But so it might be a good time to start catching up on those. They're short books, 170 pages for this one. So it wouldn't take you very long to catch up on all of them if you did. But yeah, that is my magical realism type of recommendations for any of those portal lovers out there that like their magical realism leaning more towards the literary. But yeah, if you have any recommendations for me for a literary type of portal realism, portal fantasy type of books, please let me know. If any of these books sounded really interesting to you and you're thinking about picking them up, I would love to hear that as well. I would love to hear your journey, if you liked it, if you didn't like it. Very interested in hearing about that. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.